good morning, good evening, wherever you are. My name is Patricia, and this is Sizwe Podcast. I have here with me my co-host Agnes.
Hi, Patricia. Yes, and we have in our studios today Honorable Betty Krosbi-Mensah. She's coming all the way from Ghana, West Africa. And Patricia and I saw an opportunity in her visit here in Edmonton to bring her to our studios to grill her with some questions. She's a member of Parliament. Betty, you're welcome.
Thank you very much, my wonderful, beautiful ladies. Yes, Agnes and my dear Patricia, thank you for having me. I am very happy to be here with you and your beautiful city, that is Edmonton.
Edmonton.
Yes, I'm happy to be here.
Yeah, so to set the ball rolling, Patricia, today we are going to talk to her as women to women.
Mhm.
What are some of the questions that we have for her? Not a question and answer.
And Betty has been a member of parliament for 7 years in Ghana.
Correct.
Looking at Betty, you will say she's very young.
Yes.
But this woman has been in parliament for 7 years. So Betty, what inspired you to take this role?
Thank you very much, Patricia. Indeed, ladies, as Agnes and Patricia already said, my name is Honorable Betty Krosbi-Mensah. I am a second timer. So, Patricia, if you don't mind, this is my 6th year in Parliament.
Oh,
Wow.
okay.
Yes.
The Ghana system is 4 years. Every 4 years.
Every 4
Okay.
years. So this is my
Wow.
6th year in Parliament. God willing, by next year I'll be entering my 7th year.
Awesome.
Wow.
So yes. And I am the MP for a constituency by name Afram Plains North
No.
in the Kwawu Afram Plains district. It is in the eastern region of Ghana. We're talking about West Africa. And I am one of the 40 women in Parliament. That is the 8th Parliament of the Republic of Ghana.
Wow.
I am not so young, my ladies. In fact, to be exact, I am proud and happy to tell you that I am 43 years of age.
You are very young.
Yeah.
Compared to me and Patricia, especially compared to Patricia.
But indeed, I actually went to the House. I went to Parliament when I was just 37 years old.
That's
And
impressive.
So, yes. But back home in Ghana, the youngest member of Parliament, she came to Parliament when she was 23. So
Wow.
I see myself as quite old if we are
Mhm.
talking about age.
That's very
And indeed, ladies, after my secondary education, I had the opportunity of going to the Polytechnic. So I attended Koforidua Polytechnic, which is also in the Eastern region.
Yeah, Polytechnic here, people, if you are listening to us, it's like NATE or SATE.
Yeah. So
Yes, yeah.
then from there, I did my national service with a hospital called Reach Hospital. I worked with the social worker there as an assistant. And then from there, I actually got a job with an interesting organization by name Ghana Cooperative Credit Union Association.
Mm-hmm.
And guess what? Ghana Cooperative Credit Union has a partnership with Canadian Cooperative Association.
Interesting.
Yes, and so I happened to manage a program that Canadian Cooperative Association was sponsoring, and that was the youth savings vis-a-vis women in development.
Mhm.
And so from the very word, go, I got interested in social work. I got interested in seeing young people come out and making something good of themselves. I got interested in impacting on women and seeing how best we could motivate women to be independent. In fact, when you travel back to Ghana, issues of gender equality, gender balance is something that needs to be really worked on.
Yes.
Because of course, even if you look at our current parliament, Ghana, this is the 8th parliament of the 4th Republic,
Mm-hmm.
and this is how far we have come. Out of the 275 members of parliament,
40.
we have
Still
only
have
40
40.
women. So you realize that we have a long way to go.
Yes.
Mhm.
Women have been deprived, we have been underprivileged, and we have been discriminated against for a very long time. And so working with Ghana Cooperative Credit Union as supporting women in development was very key and was very interesting. And so after working with KUA, that is how we used to
Yes,
mention
yes,
it. Yeah.
yes.
For about 3 years, I had the opportunity to travel to the United Kingdom to seek for greener pastures. I mean, you all know about immigrants
traveling
always
abroad.
going out there. Yeah, so upon arriving in Europe, I realized that the parity, in fact, when we talk about women empowerment,
Yes.
it was so very clear that there wasn't much of a discrimination against as to what women can do and what men could do.
Yes, yeah.
And so it then hit me that no, a lot of work needed to be done within our society. Because back home, whilst I was focusing so much on youth savings, women in development, we're just looking at financing small loans, supporting women, but we're not looking at the bigger picture. That is women in leadership position, women in participating in politics, women taking up this, positions that could impact and influence society. And so after being there for a while, I felt that look, I had no business here in Europe,
yes.
And so I had to go back home to Ghana, where I felt I could really affect or impact a lot of my young people or the younger generation. So I went back to Ghana in 2008, and then I decided to further my education. That is where I had my first degree with Zenith University College. And so after my first degree, whilst I was still in school, I had the opportunity to work with the government of Ghana. In fact, an organization known as the Youth Employment Program. That's the Youth Employment Program that is always trying to create avenues, creating employment opportunities for young ones. And with the Youth Employment Program, we're not looking at certificates, we're not looking at people's educational background, we're looking at really breaking that, that formality of really
getting a certificate
before you get a job.
Yeah.
And so if somebody has a special interest, how can we really help such groups?
Patricia, I think it's like the RAP program or the summer job grants program that we do here in Edmonton. Like we give the students the opportunity to just participate and explore actual work position, like a window dressing before they get into the real world.
But in this very case, we're not looking at even young people in school. We're looking at dropouts. We're looking at young people who could not even go to school. And so we had youth in dressmaking. We had youth in hairdressing. And then young people who had the formal education, we had young people in internship. And so by so doing, we were able to liaise with other organizations to arrange something like an internship program for young people within the educational sector. And so from the word go, I realized that I had that passion for social work. I had that interest in seeing how best I could impact on young people, impact on the marginalized, people who have been discriminated against. I thought, wow, why don't I take it all out? And coming from a rural constituency like Afram Plains, there was no better place to begin with all this actions. And so, ladies and gentlemen, I mean, if you are listening to us and watching us, this is how I actually began the excitement, the interesting journey of going to Parliament. I realized that, yes, there was so much I could do for my people. Already I was doing much because I was in Accra trying to recruit all the people in Afram Plains onto the government project. I mean, the program, trying to enroll them onto the dressmaking program, as well as the hairdressing program, and as many as, had shown interest in getting that kind of enterprise. That is what I was interested in helping. And so that was more of an eye-opener. And I felt that, okay, if I could do this, why don't I seek for a bigger office where I could positively impact on the larger population? And exactly, I'm talking about my constituency, that is the Afram Plains North, to be exact. So that is how I find myself working and vying for the position as a member of parliament for the good people of Afram Plains North. And that is how far I have come, ladies.
Awesome. That's very good. Thank you, Honorable. So I have a question. I have a question weaving through what you said, but mostly when we look at positions like that, the first thing that comes to our mind is, oh, I'm not made for that position. Leaders are born. I'm not a leader, and especially as a woman. And like you have give a lot of example about how jobs that way in our mind, this is for women and this is for men. So your position as an MP, how challenging it is currently, even though we have about 40 women in parliament. Is it easy?
Trust me, to be a member of parliament in Ghana is definitely not easy. First and foremost, when we talk about member of parliament, everybody is looking at legislation. That's the first thing that comes off your head. And I sit here, and before we even started this conversation, I was telling Agnes that I am not your usual member of parliament.
Yes.
I call myself a social worker because I want to see the work being done. I like to see the job done. And so whilst a lot of people will see members of parliament or MPs as legislators or, going into legislation,
they go sit there and make laws and
checking and challenging the work of government, debating, asking ministers questions and what have you. My focus has always been constituency centered. Awesome. Because I've always considered impacting positively on the good people of Afram Plains. And so those of you who follow me, you realize that when I went to Parliament in 2017, my first action was to do a statement on reverend communities. That is where I come from, because my constituency is so much surrounded by water.
It is beautiful, guys. Wait for it.
It's surrounded by water, and it's a very deprived, very poor. It's very challenged, very deplorable road network, and the many that you can think about. Indeed, if today you have the opportunity to go on the internet to Google on issues of child trafficking, child labor, the first thing that comes up on your laptop or your computer will be the Afram Plains, where BBC thinks over 20,000 young people are being trafficked. I mean, these are issues that are pertaining to my constituency. And so when I went to Parliament, it was just to tell our story the way it is. Represent my people as the people trusted and entrusted, their hope and their faith in me to do as please or will please them. And so going forward, questions in Parliament, debate has always been on how you can impact positively on the people of Afram Plains. And so trust me, it has been very challenging. As I stated, it is a very deprived and poor community. And so to represent such a group of people, you realize that a lot comes into, you have
a lot on your table.
A lot comes into, handling that position and not just focusing on, yes, it's important to bring their plight to the limelight, let government know our various challenges. But apart from the talks, it has to be backed by action. And whilst you are pushing and you are expecting government to act and it's not happening, what do you do? You have to go.
You are the first person,
the first point of call. And so you have to personalize the situation, get involved, and see how best you can bring some level of solution, some level of comfort to the people that you represent. And that is what I aspire for.
This is exciting because in most times we look at these members of parliaments who are in the offices who are not hands-on with the people.
Yes.
But I've seen your pictures going to the people, going to see what is going on. And this is what we are looking for when we're looking for leadership, when we're looking for people who are going to represent us in the House of Parliament of anything. So looking at the way that women are getting into power, because as women, we don't just come as women, we come with passion. Yes. We come with compassion. We come with that mentality of being a mother. Yes. So I see that as the world changes, the things are going to change as women are going into positions of power. So do you see any changes with the other women that you are working with? Do you see that there is a change? And what women are bringing into the table is different than men, because when I look at a man, men are mostly given in positions of power on delegating. But when you come as mothers, you come with compassion. So are you seeing any changes in the government right now?
Yeah, thank you very much, Patricia. In fact, I have a common saying that if Africa is ever led or ruled by women, we're going to have a better Africa.
Because we are hands-on.
Absolutely. We are not just managers of the home.
Mhm.
Like you rightly said, we are very compassionate. We are multitasking.
Yes.
And we bring, we take care of the home. We take care of the children. And with all those experiences, when we take office, that is what we want to see happen. And so out of the 275 members of parliament, you realize that we have more than 200 of them being men.
Yes.
And so just a few that are women, trust me, I've had the opportunity of really interacting with a number of them, and you realize that yes, you cannot compare even their constituencies. Because they like, again, I said, they personalize the constituency. They want to see things done.
Yes.
They want to see action.
Yes.
People being empowered and development going down into their constituency. So I think that the women are doing very well. And I have so many of such women that I look up to. And I think that in the near future, if the people of Ghana, vis-a-vis Africa, want to elect more women into higher office, then of course, our continent is going to be a better place, or will be a wonderful place. Notwithstanding, women in leadership comes with a lot of challenges. It just doesn't happen in a day, and it just doesn't happen overnight. It's a very difficult situation because of, over the years, some cultural practices, some religious beliefs,
Yes.
and some societal belief that actually puts the woman at a disadvantage. And so for a woman to want to go out there for a political position or for a leadership position, it becomes extremely, extremely difficult.
Yes.
I remember in 2015, 2016, when I decided to go for the office, the challenges. And we have a situation where a group of some religion believe that women are not even fit to shake their hands. That is in Ghana.
Yes.
Wow.
And so if you cannot shake those people's hand, what does it interpret? It means that you are not fit for them to vote for you.
Yes.
And so you need to prove yourself beyond reasonable doubt that indeed you can handle the position, and indeed you are ready to represent your people for the betterment of all. And so it has not always been easy. I want to emphasize on that. We have a lot of financial challenges. Even back home in Ghana, our banks, it's very easy for a man to draft a proposal, a business proposal, and go to a bank and get funding.
Wow.
A woman goes, the first thing they'll ask you is, are you married? How many children do you have?
Where's your husband?
Yeah, where's your husband? And with all these questions, you realize that men can easily have access to opportunities than women. And all this come as a challenge to really vying for positions of higher interest. And so I must say that it hasn't always been that easy, but we continue to fight. And the fight, we take it to make the people understand the impact that we can make, what they really deserve, and whether what they have now is what is their right, or they could do better. And by so doing, you have to go down and get involved. I think when I was talking about, sometimes you look at the financial capital, but when you also build on your social capital, it is something that I always see as my serious tickets, because I get on when it comes to social work, community work. I'm involved. I remember in 2016, then the government had a program that every the first Saturday of every month, we needed to do some cleanup exercise. We did our labor. And I'm always hands-on. Where I cannot get involved, I make sure that every member of the community that goes out there is fed. So yes, I go to the kitchen, I prepare meals for them, just to assure them that yes, the well-being of the community, is my utmost desire. And so I continue to work on that. And so with time, I realized that I got the people's trust. I got the people's confidence that yes, given the opportunity, we can do better than we were already doing. And in the last 6 years, I am very proud and happy that we haven't achieved everything. As you already know, development is a process. It doesn't take a day.
No.
But I am proud and happy how far we have come. We have communities with no schools that we have reached out to. We have built some pavilions, communities with no health facilities. We have built some chip compounds, communities with, in fact, where the young women through teenage pregnancy are dropped out, and we have given them some skills, and
Awesome.
today they can take care of themselves and can take care of their children. It hasn't been long, but I am proud and happy that we have gone very far, and I believe that with time, we can do better than we are already doing.
Thank you so much. If you just join us, this is Seasway Podcast, and Patricia and I are honored today to be speaking to Honorable Betty Krosbi-Mensah. She's coming all the way from Ghana. She's a member of Ghanaian Parliament, guys, and she is the MP of Afram Plains North constituency. Thank you, Betty, once again. You know, in your talking, you said something that I really want you to elaborate on for the sake of the children and the youth that we work with. I was going to ask you, do you think it is your certificate and all your education that made you an MP? And I could deduce from all that you have said that, but you said something about social capital. And when we come here as immigrants, there's very little that we think about volunteering. And what Betty is talking about, we look at it here as volunteering. And that is what we try to encourage our youth and the children who runs through our program. How best have this volunteering or the social capital benefited you, even at this level as an MP? And what would you tell our children out there? That when Miss Agnes called them to come with me to go to food bank and volunteer, it is because it is tools that they are building towards something that they are going to be useful for them in the future. I want you to speak to them.
Okay, thank you very much. Indeed, when I talk about social capital, it is how much you are able to get involved and impact in on your community.
Yes.
And it just didn't happen in a day. It is something that I felt that for your people to have confidence in you. No, before then, I want to make this point clear. When I contested in 2016, remember we were 7 people in all contesting for the one position, and I was the only woman. Now, out of the 7, we had 2 lawyers, we had a banker, we had somebody who had just returned from military service in Europe, and we had a doctor, and we had then the current member of parliament who was, also vying to be retained, and we had the district chief executive. When we talk about the district chief executive, they are the development agents.
Yeah, the MLAs.
Yes, whilst the MP is more of into legislation.
Yes.
The DC, that is the district chief executive, is the development agent.
Yes.
And so the larger chunk of government resources actually go through this person.
Yes.
And he was also vying for the position of the MP. And so all these 7 people, including myself, I think I was the least qualified if it was about certificates and resources.
How much education that you have.
But again, what really worked in my favor, it has to do with the volunteering work we are talking about.
Very good.
So because back with the youth employment program, here I was trying to get as young, many women and young women
who were dropped
out, who didn't have any access, who didn't have any way forward to actually enroll onto the system so that they could also provide for their family. And I went as far as to the island communities. In fact, there are young people who are currently members of my team, whom I recruited at that time. And because of the joy in working with me at that time, they are so committed to see to it that I also achieve my cause. And so it didn't end then. It goes back to any time as I speak to you right now, when I know my people are already missing me so much, because whenever there's a situation, I always make sure that I'm the first person to get there, to get involved, to participate, to give in fact, show some leadership in the way the way forward.
And that is volunteering,
yeah.
guys.
And building
And so,
relationships. Yeah.
sincerely, whilst it is very important that we take our academic work seriously, it also serves as a form of building on your experience.
Yes.
Because indeed, if I hadn't gotten involved with all these activities, I
You
think
cannot
at
just
this moment
drop from.
I will be lost.
Yes.
I wouldn't, because my constituency is one of the largest constituencies in the country.
Wow.
Yeah, it covers over 5,230 something kilometers square, with
and the greater part of it is on the lake.
Yeah, with over 222 communities on the lake.
Living on the lake. Guys, I'll show you the videos. You will love it.
Assuming I had because I schooled in Accra, which is the capital of Ghana.
Yes.
So if I had focused all my energy in Accra, being urbanized,
yes,
being, all the modern things that every young person aspires to be, then I'm sure I would have been the last person
to be elected
to hold the office of, or to represent my people, that is the people of Afram Plains. So when it comes to community work, it is something that I believe sincerely that it builds your profile. You can do your CV and just state in there that this is what I have done. Today, I am very happy to share with you that I work with is it Ghana Cooperative Credit Union?
Yes.
And in as much as we're being paid a token,
yes,
it's also more of a voluntary work.
Yeah.
So it's one of my rich experiences, and my son Raymond, I'm always admonishing him on how to save based on that experience I had with the youth savings program. And so it just doesn't go wasted. It is something that gives you the power to learn, and to move forward. So I just think that every young person who is listening to us today is something that we should see as building ourselves that will help build our future.
Thank you. Patricia.
Thank you. Now you are talking about you going back to the community. So instead, you started in the city and you went back to the village.
Yes.
So this reminds me of going back to our roots and remembering those people that we leave behind. That whenever we are in a position of power, let's go back and give back to our communities.
Yes. Yes.
So, and you are really doing that. And I'm so grateful that in the 18th century, a British philosopher once said, whenever there come a time when the women of this world will work together for the betterment of the people, it will be a force such as the world have ever known.
We are coming.
Do you think this is the time now?
We are coming in full force.
Do you think this is the time when the women of this world are working together?
In fact, if our experiences here this morning is anything to go by, I think it is.
It is.
Absolutely. Yes. Meeting you, Patricia, Agnes, and we have Shelley, who is also contributing so much. Shelley, hello. So yes, if that is anything to go by, then I believe this is the time.
This is the time.
Yes, and I believe also that there are many, many other women out there who are also contributing in their own small way to make this whole world a better place. And I want to say shout out to all of them who are contributing in diverse ways. It doesn't end there. I believe there's more we can do. We just need to go beyond ourselves. Most often, there's one thing I observed. We are so focused on our individual achievements.
Yes.
We are so focused, I built a house, a 5-bedroom house. How many heads do you have? I mean, that is what I keep telling myself. The best thing I can offer my child, and this is going to the African community. It happens all the time. Our leaders are looking at building big houses, driving big cars, and what have you. And when you look at the community, you see that the community really needs help.
Yes.
That house that you built that nobody is living in there, it has been a school where the young people can start going to school there. I am proud and happy as a member of parliament with over 573 communities under my constituency.
Wow.
And only 80 government accredited schools out of the 573 communities, we have only 80
Wow.
government accredited schools. And in 2017 to 2020, I was able to build almost 20 pavilions. It wasn't much because I am not a development agent. I am a member of parliament.
Yes.
But through my little support, my little contact, my little friends and family, we were able to build almost 20 pavilions. And these pavilions were not even accredited to the government of Ghana. So it was very difficult to even get teachers in there to teach the children. So in the end, I had to go the extra mile of recruiting community teachers. So what I did was young people who had completed secondary school, that is the colleges of education, became people teachers so that they could be in the classroom to teach the children, so that people, mothers and fathers, don't necessarily have to take their children to fishing or to the farm, but then the children could have an alternative, that is the classroom, to go and study. We did this for a while. The pavilions are still in place, but we realized that recruiting the teachers were not sustainable.
Because how much long can one person pay a teacher for 20 pavilions?
Yeah, but I sincerely feel that it was a way to go and a way to start. And so if a lot more people can be interested in taking up some of this initiative within their small communities, then of course we will be making a very huge change in our society and in our community. So let all of us come on board and see how we can do it.
Thank you so much. If you just joined us, this is Seasway Podcast. My name is Agnes. Patricia is here, and today we are talking to Betty. Betty is a member of parliament from Ghana, Afram Plains North. And before Betty goes, she said something about child labor and the reports that we normally see, like in the big media. And just right now, when she talked about the pavilion, it came back to my mind. I need her to clarify. How do we as Africans see child labor vis-a-vis the non-profit and NGOs that come into our community, how they report it? I think your constituency has been in the limelight for the longest time about people rescuing children from their parents. How true is that? And how false is the view that people are looking at that information?
It's a subject that anytime I think about it or I talk about it, it's kind of bring tears to my eyes because I personally have experienced it. I just simply call it criminalization of poverty. That is how I call it. Because these people have not been given any alternative to life. Yes, it's in the Ghana Constitution that every child of school going age should go to school.
And when you have,
but if the community has no school, how does a child go to school? And so, having lived and been with my people, what the parents usually say is that if I take my child fishing, because there's no alternative, so they see it as a trade. They are actually impacting what they have as a trade on their child, so that when the child also grow up, they also have a trade or something to make a living off. And yet what we do in turn, instead of modernizing the situation, making it a bit more attractive or giving them an alternative, what we seem to do is to criminalize it
and call it child labor.
Call it child traffic. Sometimes it's even termed child trafficking.
Child trafficking, yes, I think that is what when you Google it comes up.
It comes as because unlike here in the West, where we have we have foster care. Government sees to it that an orphan child is properly taken care of. We don't have that. So in Ghana, we go by the extended family system. And so by doing the extended family system, I am a fisherman. And my niece, who has lost both parents, come to live with me. There's no school within my community. So when I'm going fishing, I take my niece. And it is classified or termed as child trafficking.
Wow.
And so this things in 2017, an international organization known as International Justice Mission, this is no secret, I am proud and bold to mention them anywhere. I actually went to my constituency and rescued over 124 children on the lake in the name of trafficking. I followed it up, and in the end, I got all the children released. And it will interest you to know that out of the 124 children that were rescued, there were only 3 of them that we could not identify their parents.
Wow.
And yet, you have CNN, you have BBC boxing it all together in one statement as trafficking.
As like you can't find the parents
So,
of these kids.
Yeah, and so this continues, and I feel that together, I even called on those NGOs and I said, look, we can do better than rescuing them, because there is a research that proves that children do better with even family members who are not their parents, much better than foster
Putting
care.
them in a foster care. Yes, it is true.
You understand? So what can we do to make sure that these children psychologically, mentally, they do better?
Yes.
It is not by taking them away from the recognized home, but it's by boosting those environments, so that they can also be comfortable, and then they can learn and also support their communities in the near future. But what do you say? We don't see much of it. We see these NGOs, they come in, they take their children. Sometimes, if you do not have a proactive leader like myself to go follow up and locate where the children are, sometimes they go missing. For years, we do not know, because before I became a member of parliament, I'm aware of stories where children were rescued. There were no records, because it is part of their guidelines that you don't even inform stakeholders. You just go in there, sweep them, take them away, and nobody really knows where those are subjects that I feel that government of Ghana and other stakeholders, they are topics that need to be discussed. I think the last time I did a paper on it, even when BBC did the report, I did a rebuttal, it went as far as to Al Jazeera, and the government of Ghana showed some interest. But in the end, these NGOs still come in and give some support to the government of Ghana, and they kind of water the issues down. But if you are a passionate child protector, then you realize that these are issues that are there and really need to be looked more into than just the
propaganda.
The eyes just conceive of it. There's more that goes into going, into taking these children away from their recognized homes and taking them to places where we cannot even locate them.
Because there's no proper foster homes in Ghana where, like, halfway homes or something like that, that the children
they have orphanages.
But those kids are not orphans.
They have orphanages and places. But in all, I sincerely believe that we can do better. If these NGOs are interested in building schools, if these NGOs are interested in probably even supporting the mothers to be independent so that they can take care of these children, why not?
Them fishing.
And if they were taking these children and taking them to a school that is known, where the parents are able to come and see these children and see how they are doing, it's a different story.
Yes.
Can it be done anywhere in the world?
Africa.
Guys, thank you so much. I think we've taken Honorable's time, and we are going to go to part 2. I'm not letting her go yet. But we'll bring the curtains down here. Thank you so much, Betty. Thank you for all the things that you have opened our eyes on. And I hope that this message is not going to just touch our hearts, but everybody who's going to watch this video has something to learn. Please, when I call you for volunteering, know that one day you can be a member of parliament like Betty. So don't say no, Miss Agnes. Patricia, do you have any other thing to say? And then we'll bring the curtains down here. Thank you.
Oh, thank you, Honorable Krosbi. Thank you very much for this time with us. We had such a pleasure. So,
Honorable, is there any other thing you want to say?
I just want to use the opportunity to appreciate you wonderful ladies for the good work that you are doing. That is Synchronia. And I also had and then I had the opportunity of working with is it the YEG?
And
then and the Emmanuel Foundation. In fact, the last time I came to Canada, this group of amazing people supported me with a truck full of logistics to take back to my constituency, and it went a long way. It went a long way to support. We had hospital beds, we had bicycles. We had a lot of, logistics that to date, my community members are very appreciative of, and I want to use our podcast, Patricia, if you don't mind, to
No,
say
we are going to go over
a
that.
very big
So,
thank
yes.
you to these amazing people for seeing what we do and having decided to come on board to support us. We are very grateful.
Thank you.